Welcome to Hank's Place. In the last Hank's Place, I was sharing with you from Ephesians 3 on the wonderful, beyond measure love of God that leads to being filled up with all the fullness of God Himself. That is a mouthful. May we be strengthened with power by the Holy Spirit in the inner man, Paul begins, so that Christ may dwell in our hearts through faith. The Amplified expresses it, may God, out of the riches of His glory, strengthen and spiritually energize us with power through His Spirit in our innermost being and personality. So what's that tell you? Well, it tells me that Jesus is totally awesome and mighty and really well beyond our capacity to contain, to receive Him. We have no chance really of inviting Him into our hearts until the Holy Spirit strengthens us. And thanks be to God, He will. It's His marvelous grace. Then Paul prays that we become rooted and grounded in love. Well, that sounds awesome enough, but from Paul's perspective, it's just the beginning. Becoming rooted and grounded in love enables us to comprehend with the saints the infinite scope of God's love. Comprehend? Well, Message Bible expresses it as, with both feet firmly planted in love, we'll be able to take in, with all the followers of Jesus, the extravagant dimensions of Christ's love. So reach out and experience its breadth, test its length, plumb its depths, rise to the heights. Live full lives, full in the fullness of God. I want that. How about you? The Amplified adds, may we come to know practically through personal experience this love of God which far surpasses mere knowledge without the experience, that we may be filled up through our being, throughout it, to all the fullness of God, so that we may have the richest experience of God's presence in our lives, completely filled and flooded with God Himself. Being flooded with God Himself. Oh, happy day, my friend. Now, knowing His love in this way leaves no room in our hearts and minds for other things. What things? Things like resentment, unforgiveness, hatred, bitterness, revenge, rejection, fear of rejection, inferiority, pride. Love never fails, and all these other things, they are swept away by this unfailing love of God. Now, the enemy may have placed many obstacles to His love in our lives, but look, here comes that tidal wave of God's love, immeasurably high, deep, wide, long, sweeping every obstacle into oblivion, if we just pray and ask. So, today, if you're struggling with resentment, unforgiveness, rejection, whatever, stop the struggling. But as I said, pray and ask like Paul did. Soon that tidal wave of God's love and His fullness will come. It will sweep away all that junk, my friend, and you will come alive.